was the trade deadline day in 2024. We've had coffee. We've come up with the name of the channel over a cup of coffee then and there. I went home without thinking about it, made a logo, whipped up a logo on Canva in like 5 minutes, started the YouTube channel, made a Twitter account and an Instagram and a Facebook page, recorded an intro video and dropped it an hour after the trade period finished. Footy fans are really invested in the trade period, especially North fans who we had a couple of trades that didn't go through until like the last half hour of that period. So for North fans, like we were all just like waiting. So then when I was like, hey, here's Kanga TV and welcome, and here's my first video, all eyes were on it. And the support that I received from the get-go was pretty amazing.
Hello and welcome to the Sports Grad Podcast, the ultimate guide to make it in the sports industry. I'm your host, Nathan Peroni, and on this podcast, I chat with people in industry and find out how they got hired into dream jobs in sport. If you want to know what people are doing to break in and grow their career, make sure to follow the pod and subscribe to our newsletter for even more advice. Or if you want to give yourself a competitive advantage in the job market and put your career on a rapid new trajectory, go to our website and apply for the next cohort of the Sports Grad Method program. Here at Sports Grad, we've helped people land 853 jobs in sport, with today's shout out to Tia Schwolger. Tia was a recent guest on the show, but after her contract finished at Cricket Australia, she's now found her next role, joining TGI Sport as an account manager in the Partnerships and Experiences team. So congrats again, Tia. Now coming up on the show today is Marnie Cohen, Senior Account Manager for Communications at TGI Sport. Whilst Marnie has developed a strong career in PR and comms, she has also become known as the face of Kanga TV, a booming platform for all things North Melbourne Footy Club. Marnie has been a North fan her whole life, and since the age of 17 has been writing content about her beloved Kangaroos, with that passion developing through the years into Kanga TV, interviewing current, former players, staff and more. Alongside this passion project, Marnie has grown her career in PR and comms in the lifestyle fashion space and now finds herself combining her interests and skills at TGI, where she has managed projects like the Final Siren AFL documentary premiere and the Carlton Draught launch. If you're looking to understand how to transfer your skills from other industries into sport and maximize your time to chase your dreams, this is an incredible listen. Unfortunately, we did have some audio problems on the day with my mic, so my audio may not be as crystal clear as normal. However, the star of the show, Marnie, will be loud and clear. So grab a pen and enjoy this chat with Marnie.
Hey guys, Ruben Williams here, founder of Sports Grad. We'll be back to the episode in just a second, but I just wanted to take a moment to tell you about the Sports Grad Method program, which has been helping people land jobs at major sporting bodies in as little as 14 days and doesn't require you to take out a massive debt to get started. If you are looking to make a jump into the sports industry, but nothing seems to be working for you right now, then why not apply for the Sports Grad Method program? Inside, you'll get given a proven playbook and a one-on-one industry mentor, as well as access to the Sports Grad network, plus much, much more, all of which have helped people land over 800 roles in sport. If you're ready to back yourself and fully go after your career and not let life get away from you and wonder, what if I'd only given that a shot? Then you're the kind of person who we'd love to work with. So head to sportsgrad.com.au/program and you can apply to join us.
Marnie Cohen, welcome to the Sports Grad Podcast.
Thank you for having me. This is crazy. I'm usually in your position.
I figured, yeah.
This is a bit much for me, but hey, we're here. We're going to do it.
Now, this all came about very, very quickly. This has turned around like 24 hours from having a conversation at work over lunch to, all right, let's do a podcast. I reckon we only probably started to get to know each other like a month or so ago at work.
Yeah, because I've only been at TGI, spoiler alert. I've only been at TGI for like 3 and a bit months now. Yeah. So everyone is still relatively fresh. But yeah, we often make lunch at the same time because we're both late lunches. Yeah. And that's how we started to bond.
Kanga TV was something that I was quite curious about when we started talking, and that's part of getting you on today. Like you just said, it's a bit weird me interviewing you because you're often doing that in your position. So I won't spoil anything yet. We'll get to that soon. But I like to start the show with some quick fire questions just to get some background on you, and then we'll deep dive into your career and what you've got up to. Yeah, so firstly, what inspired you to work in sport?
I couldn't give you an answer because I just don't know. It just felt like something I always wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be a journalist at a young age, and sport was something that I became really passionate about from the age of like 8 or 9. So it just sort of made sense. And that was the launch pad for, 15 years of work now. Yeah.
Love it. That's very similar for a lot of us. And first ever job and first ever sport job?
My first ever job, I worked at a place called Michelle's Patisserie. I don't even know if that exists anymore.
They were like one of the few patisseries back in the day.
Yeah, so I worked at one of those when I was in year 9, I think. So early hustler. And
Selling pastries and cakes.
Absolutely. Hey, I've got a winning smile. I think it worked out okay for me. And my first official role in sport is at TGI now, but I started my first blog when I was 17, so back in 2011.
Love it. And after high school, what extra study did you get up to? And I've also got a note here that there's some awards and like nominations.
So I actually started in a Bachelor of Business. That's what I initially went to study. I took a year off and that's what I started. It was more my parents, and my parents are the biggest supporters of me and everything I do, but they were like, I don't know if there's a career in journalism, even though that's what I wanted to do. So started a Bachelor of Business and failed my first semester outright. So failed 3 out of 4 units. And that made me reassess. And I thought, no, I think maybe I should just do like one journalism subject and like see if I like it. And I ended up getting an HD for that subject, like nearly 100. I was like, okay, I think I've got to give this a shot. So I transferred to a Bachelor of Communications majoring in journalism. And I graduated from that finished in 2017, graduated 2018.
And so firstly, there's a joint recipient of the Robert McDonald Journalism and International Relations Prize. Where does that come from along the studies?
That came from my last year at Deakin. So I did 2 years at Monash and then 2 years at Deakin. Yeah. And that came...
That sounds like a pretty big award.
Yeah, it was a nice surprise. It wasn't like a big deal. It just like came in the mail one day. Oh, right. Yeah, but I got a certificate and it was just for excellence in my studies and results in my last year of journalism.
Any bonus money or discount on fees for it?
I think there was money involved, maybe. But I mean, I'm old and this is a long time ago, so...
What about the nomination for Student Journalist of the Year? That was another one I saw.
Yeah, so I was nominated. So that was part of the Quill Award. So the Quills are the journalism awards in Victoria. And that's a category there. So I was nominated for a few pieces that I did during my internship at the Geelong Advertiser. And yeah, it was basically someone was going around to universities across Australia and was publishing Holocaust denial material, like pamphlets, and like putting them on cars, and no one knew who this person was. And it was something that started at uni. And my lecturer and I managed to find the person and the address of where they lived. And it was a local suburb in the Geelong region. So I took it to my chief of staff at the Geelong Advertiser and I said, hey, like, what do you think? Can I chase this? And so I went with a journalist and a photographer and door knocked. So it was 3 pieces that we did in that series, and yeah, it got me a nomination, and that was probably the launch pad for my short-lived journalism career. But yeah, that's a pretty big one for me, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It sounds like it was a catalyst to getting you going as well with your career.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely was.
One interview question that you were asked to answer for the job you're in, or one question you like to ask people that you hire?
A question that I was asked in my interview with TGI probably stands out. And there's a few that I guess you usually get asked, but specific to this role is, why do you want to work in sport? And it sounds like a really cliche question, but I think the answer, and I asked the question back when I was able to ask questions like, why do you like working in sport? It's a really good way to figure out if your personal values, both personally and professionally, align with the company and the role and the people that you'll be working for and with. And I found out in my interview that there was a few things I had said in my answer that came up as my boss or the HR manager was speaking back to me. So that was like a really good launchpad for me, knowing that like this would be the right role if I was successful.
Yeah, fantastic. And a book or podcast recommendation that's helped your career?
So this is a bit of a left of center one because I don't consume a lot of sport content in my personal time. There is a influencer that I love. Her name's Caitlin Amico. She is a marketing strategist. That's her job. But she talks about this online, and she also does like fashion and days in life and whatever. So she did a podcast episode on Stylish, and it was just a bit of a deep dive into her career and tips that she would have for anyone wanting to get in the industry. And I think it's a really good listen, not just because I really like her as a person and her content, but it's nice to have that advice and then being able to tweak what I need to bring it back into what I do at TGI and even through Kanga TV. So I think that's definitely been a really, really strong listen for me and something I've gone back to a few times.
And lastly, if you could try another job in sport for a day, what would it be and why?
Definitely a talent manager. We're obviously surrounded by them in the office, but I do work with a lot of different talent managers just in the role that I'm in. So I think I'd be good at it because I like people and I love to talk. So I think that you can sign me up to get paid to do that all the time. But just also from an interest point, because I am so used to working with these people on my side, it'd be cool to see what the other side is like. Yeah.
Maybe we can get you to transition across the office at one point.
Look out.
Before jumping into your professional career, I just want to talk about Kanga TV and general Kangaroos content. It's a big part of your life, and it has been as a North Melbourne supporter, I imagine, since you were born.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you mentioned to me that you first started a blog at the age of 17, which was called the North Melbourne Option.
North Melbourne Opinion.
I've actually written this down as opinion, but I've said option.
Nice.
Do you want to just tell us, you also featured on a few North podcasts as well across the years. Do you want to tell us where the passion comes from for content creation and why at 17 you started to go on this path?
Yeah. Again, I don't know where it came from, the love for like writing and storytelling and wanting to be a journalist, but that was a dream I guess I had from the age of 16. And like when I was in year 10 going to the Careers Expo, I was like, I just wanted to talk about the journalism courses and those options. And being a mad North Melbourne supporter, and that is a huge part of my life as well, I just found like it was a natural fit to bring the two together. And so 2011, like it's a long time ago now, there wasn't really a lot of like content creators or like blogging was a thing, but like it wasn't even like a massive thing at the time. So I was lucky in a way that I started when I was so young. I was able to break into a market that was pretty fresh at the time. I haven't continued with that one brand the whole way through, and maybe that's the one thing in hindsight I wish I had done. But the flip side is that I started it because I wanted to be a journalist and I wanted to break into the industry professionally. And at that time, it wasn't really like content creation for yourself, like wasn't really a thing that was monetized. Yeah. So I guess I never really thought that would even be possible. And I was 17, like I was young, I was naive. So yeah, that's sort of why I started it. And I've just kept doing it ever since because I love it. It's been a part of my life, almost longer than it hasn't been at this point. So I just never really found a way to break away from it. If anything, I've gone in the opposite direction. And now I'm more involved with it than ever before, but I love it. So I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, I think you're right. Back like 2011, 2012 days, you think of like all these YouTubers that have blown up over the years. Like they're the ones that probably started those early days of didn't know they can make money, and then everyone 15 years later is like, oh, I want to be a YouTuber like this person I like because they make money. It's like, well, they didn't start out thinking that.
Yeah.
Did you have like a mentor that you looked up to, or someone that you'd seen in the footy world, or other spheres that you're like, I like what they're doing, and that's where I wanted to go? I know you mentioned that you wanted to be a journalist, and part of it was that, but did you have some sort of inspiration that helped you?
Yeah, I mean, as a kid, as like also a female, it's so different, the like sports journalism landscape now, but AFL female journalists, the three most visible for me were probably Sam Lane. So she was on Channel 10 at the time, Caroline Wilson, who's with The Age, and then Emma Quayle, who she's since moved on and she was at the Giants. I don't know if she's still there, but she was there for a really long time. She was also at The Age, I'm pretty sure. So they were the three that I really looked up to and really idolized and thought, well, look what they're doing. If they're doing it, then surely there's a way I could do it as well. So they're definitely the three for me. Sam in particular, I just adored.
I remember her as well. Was it before the bounce was called as well?
Before the game on Channel 10, she did special comments, and like Channel 10 commentary in like the early 2000s is goated. Like that's my favorite era of footy. Yeah, Michael Christensen. Yeah, who's now like the MRO. So no, Sam still, she's doing ABC Grandstand. She's done some work with the AFLW on 7. She does a lot of like MC work. She helped co-write Aaron Phillips, her like, it's an autobiography. I think she helped co-write it or she wrote it. So she's still like really prominent in the space. And I've actually crossed paths with her like later in my career, which was like one of the craziest moments for me. My inner child was like screaming that day. So yeah.
Tell us how Kanga TV, so it's been around about 2024, is that right?
Mm-hmm. About 18 months now.
Yeah. Where does the new iteration of your Kangaroos content come from to create this new idea? And was it hard to win over new fans and get people to follow? It sounds like it's gone gangbusters in a short period of time, but how does it all start?
So it started in 2024. Obviously, I turned 30. I had this whole like, what am I doing with my life professionally? I was in comms, but I was working lifestyle fashion, which I'm really passionate about, but not in the same way that I am with sport. I was doing North Melbourne content. As you mentioned, I was on a podcast and I was doing some other like short form social content, but I just didn't find anything super fulfilling and none of it really aligned with me and what I wanted to do. And I had my own ideas that I wanted to execute. Fan channels were starting to become a little bit bigger. In 2024 was my first proper introduction to more fan channels and more people in the industry. And I started to think that there was more that was possible. And it was something I didn't really think through that much. I was at a job that I hated and I ended up quitting without thinking like of my next move. It's the first time in my life I've quit without having another plan. And I was just not in a good place mentally. And I called someone who I'm really like, he has a fan channel of his own and we're quite good friends. And I said, I'm thinking of doing this. I just don't know like if it's the right move, where to start. I've just quit my job, like not really sure. So we had a coffee and I said, this is my idea. I think I'm going to do it. But maybe in like 3 months time, I just like kind of want to get myself ready and like organize, get the club on board. And he said, no, like cut the shit. He's like, you need to go home and start it today. It was the it was the trade deadline day in 2024. We've had coffee. We've come up with the name of the channel over a cup of coffee then and there. I went home without thinking about it, made a logo, whipped up a logo on Canva in like 5 minutes.
Is that still the logo?
That's still the logo now. And I'm terrible at graphics, so I'm pretty impressed with myself there. Started the YouTube channel, made a Twitter account and an Instagram and a Facebook page. Recorded an intro video and dropped it an hour after the trade period finished. I don't know if that was like genius or like stupidity, but either way, yeah, because all eyes were on the football space in that time because footy fans are really invested in the trade period, especially North fans who we had a couple of trades that didn't go through until like the last half hour of that period. We didn't get Luke Parker until like that last hour. So for North fans, like we were all just like waiting. So then when I was like, hey, here's Kanga TV and welcome and here's my first video, all eyes were on it. And it was the support that I received from the get-go was pretty amazing. I was, again, lucky. I'd sort of built up my own personal brand and profile over such a long period of time and was publicly so aligned with the football club that it was a step that probably made sense for a lot of people watching at home. And it was something that just made sense for me and it was a super natural thing. And, you know, it's, as you said, it's like been going from strength to strength basically since I started. And I definitely am like, don't underestimate what it took to get to this point, because it was anything but an overnight success. And equally, I'm so grateful for people to be supporting me and be invested in the channel and what I'm doing, and just want to continue supporting me to help it grow.
Well done. It sounds like we've got off to a really good start. When does like the next video drop after, or the next bit of content, I suppose, after that first one? And was the views very good, bad? Like, what did that first video look like?
The first proper video came on the Friday. So I launched the channel on a Wednesday night, and the Friday afternoon was the first video that came out. It was a little bit of an overview of North and what they had done in the trade period. I think that video took me like 3 hours to edit, because there were so many there were so many so much stopping and starting, but the reception was really, really good. The views were like very strong from the start for a channel that like had just come from nowhere.
Were you just trying to be a perfectionist though as well? Like with the ums and the ahs, and like I'm sure you say it, but I know when I used to do the sports bubble back in the day, I would try to cut out every single and ah. But you just gotta sometimes let it naturally flow too.
Yeah, I don't like now. I'm not so fussed. Like I don't care as much now. I definitely catch myself when I'm editing videos back. I say a lot or I have some pauses. There's a couple of phrases that I'll probably listen back to this and be like, stop saying those things. But I just can't help it. It's just the way I am, and that's fine. I'm clearly doing something right still, because people are still there watching. So look, it was received really well, and I've definitely learned to let go of a lot of those bits and pieces. As you know, I'm not perfect. No one's expecting me to be perfect. They just want to listen to what I have to say for some reason. So I'll take it.
Does North have much involvement at all with what goes on, and do you get approvals, or is there red tape, or?
North are really good with me. I have a really good relationship with the club, and I've got a really good relationship with the people there. Most importantly, I've got a really good relationship with the players, and that is something I'm very fortunate to have through my family. My dad's been really involved with the club for a really, really long time, and it's something that the football club and the love for footy is something my dad and I share, and that's like a big bonding point for us. So wherever an event comes up or something, he always takes me along, and over the time I've just built up relationships with the players or some of the staff and some of the administration people as well. Anything that I do that directly involves the club, so people who are still connected to the club, not so much past people, but players who are there or staff who are there, I just let them know what I'm doing. I don't always film stuff on premise either, even though Arden Street is a public space. So I could just rock up and kind of do what I wanted. In that respect, I wouldn't do it. It's just not me. And if there's anything that they don't want me to do, or anytime they say no, I just respect that. They've got their reasons for it. They're never doing it because they don't like me or what I'm doing. It's just obviously not the right time, be it on-field performance isn't as good, or there's a lot going on in the back end at the club at the time. So we have a great relationship, and I just run the things past them if I want to do it. And unless they have a real reason that they don't want me to do it, they're pretty happy for me to do what I got to do.
Yeah, that's really positive as well, that I think there's a good relationship both ways. Do you have like a favourite player or favourite alumni that you've interviewed over the journey?
Yeah, so my first interview was with Hugh Greenwood. So he was at North for 3 seasons, and he's like one of my favourite people in the whole wide world. Like we still have a great relationship to this day, and he's been gone from North 18 months now. But yeah, he was the first person outside of my family that I interviewed for the channel, and it's still my favourite interview to this day, just because he's the best person. And he was really humbled by how much research I had done and how much I knew about his journey, that I was able to share with him to build the conversation and then share with the audience as well.
Did you have a lot of good engagement on that because it felt like a good conversation too?
Yeah, I did. It was really, really nice. Everyone who knows me in a North Melbourne perspective knows that Hugh Greenwood is like my favourite person to ever walk through the doors at Arden Street. And I've interviewed some like pretty big names who have been involved with North Melbourne over the journey, and everyone would probably not be surprised by the fact that Hugh was my favourite, and will always be. There will be no interview that will ever beat that, and I'm happy to be on record saying that. So
I was going to ask you like what's your most viral or like favourite video, but that sounds like it's your most favourite video.
That was my favourite video. My most viral video was the first time David King ever came on the channel. So we had just lost to Geelong by over 100 points. Jeremy Cameron had kicked 11 goals. Patrick Dangerfield was eating a kebab on the bench in the second half when he was subbed off. It was probably one of the darkest moments for me personally as a North supporter that I can remember in modern times. And I just thought I need to do something that is going to rally the supporter base around and sort of not maybe have their frustrations heard a little bit, but just something different, a different perspective. So I reached out to Kingy on the Monday morning. That game was the Saturday night. So on the Monday morning, I shot him a message, literally just sent him a message on Twitter. And I was like, hey, Kingy, I'm Marnie, founder of Kanga TV. Is there any chance you'd want to come on the channel? I think North fans are really crying out for someone or something just to listen to them and what they have to say. And he replied within like maybe 20 minutes, and within an hour, like you think you and I worked quick over the last 24 hours.
That's crazy.
Yeah, within an hour we'd locked in time that day we were going to film. And I was working as a receptionist at the time. I had a spare office at the practice where I was able just to duck in on my lunch break. We filmed this and I released it the next day, and everyone was just like, wow, like they couldn't believe that A, I'd been able to pull this off. I probably couldn't believe it either. I still can't believe it sometimes. But B, what he said in the conversation we had was just so relevant to everything supporters were feeling at the time and everything the club was going through at the time. So I think it just was right timing, right person, right platform, right conversation. And it just, yeah, it was the response was unbelievable.
No, well, credit to you, because that's, I mean, even just from a general footy fan, a lot of people would be like, wow, David King, like he's not, I mean, he's obviously all over Fox footy, and just his career in general. So
yeah, he's amazing. He's great, and he's been back on since. So very, very lucky.
And how do you manage to, manage this all alongside? Like you said, you took a break and you were doing something you weren't maybe loving, but managing what this content is alongside full-time work and other roles.
So last year, or from the time I started the channel until January 2026, I wasn't working full-time and I wasn't working in the industry. So I mentioned before I was a receptionist at an accounting practice. I worked 4 days a week, Monday to Thursday, 9 to 5. I didn't do anything outside of those hours. When I had an interview for the job at the end of 2024, I literally walked in. I said, I have a YouTube channel and I want to grow it and I'm here to pay my bills.
And they were fine.
They were like, yep, cool, no worries. I said, I'll do the work when I'm here. I'm really dedicated worker no matter what I'm doing. And there won't be a lot of time that I would have to take off during the week to go and do things because I had that dedicated day. So I would just try and do as much content on a Friday, and that was my Kanga TV day. There were a couple of times where I needed to duck out to go and do an interview or do something, and where opportunities did come up, and they were really good about it because I didn't take the piss when I was there working. So now I'm at a point where I've transitioned back into full-time work, into an industry and a role that's quite time demanding. So the channel is well established now, so that's nice. There's obviously still things that I wish I was able to do, which I just don't have the time to do at the moment. So I just make sure that I have at least one night a week to be able to film at the bare minimum a preview for the upcoming game. And then I usually film the review immediately after the game or the next day, just depending on times and all that sort of thing, and make sure that I get that out when I need to. So it's just become part of my routine now, and everyone in my life is so supportive of what I do, which is really fortunate. So you just make it work, right? Like you just find a way to make it work. We all find ways to do things that we want to do. So that's basically what I'm doing.
I respect the grind. Well done.
Thank you.
In terms of getting recognised, I know you spoke about it off air as well, but how much do you get recognised at the games? Do you get recognised down the street, like people are North fans? Has it got a bit crazy? Yeah,
I do get recognised a fair bit, which it still gets quite overwhelming. But on the flip side, that's tangible proof that it is growing. And I've definitely struggled this year, having pulled back a little bit from the channel to focus more on the work I'm doing at TGI with, I'm not doing enough. I wish I could do X, Y, Z like I used to. But then I go to games I go to every home game in Melbourne, and I try and travel where I can. Like I went with my dad to GMHBA in Geelong a couple of weeks back, and every single week I get stopped, I get recognized, I get stopped in my everyday life. Like I've been stopped when I've gone out, like on a Saturday night. I've been stopped at my local cafe before. So I'd get stopped a lot more than I was getting last year. So while I'm sitting here, and I think self-doubt is something we're all victim to, right? And I definitely have imposter syndrome big time, and I definitely doubt myself, especially now where the channel is at and what I was doing last year. But then having so many people come up to me every single week, be it at the game or outside in everyday life, that's just confirmation that what I'm doing is still really well received and well supported. So it's it can be really overwhelming, but also it's like just the most insane and like just humbling experience in the world for sure.
Yeah. And who knows where it could get to.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
The last one on Kanga TV I just want to ask is, sometimes I feel like in business, you don't want to talk to your competitors, you're trying to fight for the same thing. In this situation, you're best mates and really close with someone that is doing another channel. I know you've spoken to me about how someone now I'm finding ways to do full time, which is great. But I guess there's a different scenario where you know that Carlton fans are going to follow the Carlton channels and North Melbourne fans are going to follow North channels. But how much do you all collaborate and transfer ideas to all try to help each other?
Yeah, I'm really lucky that I've got some amazing friends in the space who I've met either in my own life, and it's just so happened that we do similar things, or I've made friends through doing the channel and through doing content for so long. I think there's been a bit of from my perspective anyway, there's been a bit of a shift for my own work. In terms of North Melbourne, like North Melbourne is a really small club. I don't have to tell anyone that follows AFL that. So in my opinion, the stronger we are together and the more that I can work with other North content creators in particular, there's some other podcasts. I'm really good friends with most of the North Melbourne podcasts, and I've had them on my channel before and I've been on their podcasts and stuff like that. For me, we're stronger in number. We become more visible. Our mission is probably a little bit different to what someone who runs a Carlton channel or who runs a Collingwood channel would have, because the clubs are so big and the fan bases are so big. So maybe they've got different objectives or different goals. But I'm more than happy to go on somebody else's channel if they ask me to, if they want to talk about North, if they want to talk about this sort of thing, I'm also more than happy to. I have people on my channel who I'm friends with. I am not really one for transactional relationships. I am more than happy to go on someone's channel and that's how we start a relationship. But I usually have the same people back on the channel because it allows the content to be a lot more natural. It allows things to flow a lot better. And I just think the output is so much better. Having said that, you meet people all the time and you make friends all the time. So I could be saying that now, but then there's someone I've literally just hit it off with that I've started speaking to a week ago. And I'm like, hey, we should do a video together. And then we're filming that, whatever, a week later. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have a blanket rule, but I do like to collaborate with other people in the space, particularly people that I have formed genuine friendships with. It just makes things a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable, not just for me, but for people watching at home as well.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I'm glad they're all very supportive. You're all supportive of each other. So
yeah, you have to be, right?
Further, yeah, and progress more. Yeah. Want to go back now to your more professional career.
Yeah.
There's definitely a professional career in Kanga TV though, but we have a lot of people that come through as like members of the program as well that are trying to change industries. You mentioned your background of fashion and lifestyle and then coming to sport.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get a lot of value into, I guess, this next story of how you go from those early days of trying to be a journo, fashion and lifestyle now at the TGI. So do you want to speak to early days, a few internship roles, cadet journalists, blogs, you were even still doing some writing actually for the Raw AFL Expert Opinion as a columnist? I
was a columnist. That was RIP the Raw. Doesn't exist anymore. But back in the day, yeah, I did a bit of writing for them as well, which again was just something I did on the side to keep growing my own profile in the sports industry itself.
How much of these were paid versus not paid?
The first paid role I've had in sport is TGI. My first paid role outside of uni, I was a marketing assistant at a fashion company. And I was there for 4 months. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. But I left because I was offered a cadetship at the Daily Telegraph in Sydney. So I always wanted to be a print journalist. And for anyone who's studying journalism or has, gone through it, usually the way, and this is traditionally the way that it goes with journalism, is your first job is a regional news outlet. And you sort of hone your craft there for 2 or 3 years. You figure out what stream of journalism you want to do, what you want to go into, and then you kind of make your way up into metro. It's not necessarily in the city you want to be in. You might have to move. That's a big thing with journalism, and a lot of comms roles even now you may have to move if the opportunity is big enough and good enough you want to take it. And then you somehow find your way back home, or you find your way back to where you actually want to be. I didn't do that. So I was a intern at the Geelong Advertiser for 5 months. It was my last year of uni. I used to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday, and I would drive an hour and a half to Geelong, and I would work as an intern on a Wednesday from 10 till 4 in the newsroom, and then I would drive all the way home. So it was like a 12, 13 hour day every Wednesday. Yeah, but I knew that I wanted to be a print journalist, and I loved it. Like, I went to Deakin, and that's where I graduated. And Deakin has a very strong alignment with the city of Geelong. And so being there, I was like, I need to intern at the Geelong Advertiser. Like, that is all I wanted to do. I was like,
did you ever consider going to live on rent on campus?
No,
down in
never.
Geelong?
No, because I had my life here. I was happy. I was like, doing it all. But I was just like obsessed with the idea of interning there. And I had a great relationship with with the team at Deakin that would facilitate internships. So when one came up, they said, would you be keen? I was like, oh my God, say less. Like, I need to be there. So I did that for 5 months. That's where I got my big break. That's where I got the nomination for the Quill. And then applications opened for cadetships. I think they take 2. In my cohort, they took 2 at the telly in that year. It was 2018. Other papers, they might do different things. It wasn't sport, but I just wanted to be in a paper. And that's a really rare thing now. I don't know how many young up-and-coming journalists would be like, I just want my name in print. But working on this side of things, print is still held in such high regard. I've had a front cover for a client in my role at TGI, and that's still one of the biggest achievements for me. Forget TV and this and that. There we are, the front and the back page of the paper, the Herald Sun. That was still just the biggest thing for me.
Do you think it'll ever go anywhere, the papers? It's still going to keep running its course of still being very, very, very valuable to the community?
Definitely metro, for sure. It's really sad. A lot of regional towns, even big regional towns now, they're transitioning to digital only. And there's something for me always, and this was as a young kid, and even now I go straight to the kitchen when I get to work every day and flip the paper over and read the back page of the paper. It's just something about that I just love.
It is a nice touch that it always is in the office.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, I saw the job at the Daily Telegraph and applied and went through a month-long cadetship interview process, and there was over 100 applicants, and I was one of 2 that got the gig. Never had to do an in-person interview in Sydney. It was all done remote. It was, I was working 9 to 5:30 in an office, then I'd come home and sit at my desk and do all the tasks that they had asked me to do. So within a month of getting the gig, I was living in Sydney by myself, really daunting. And I remember saying to my mum, what happens if I go there and I hate it? Yeah. My life's over at 23. Shit, then what do I do? And I went there and quit in 4 months because I hated it. It just wasn't right for me. The work I was doing wasn't aligning with, and I don't know, maybe I was naive at the time. I was young. I'd never lived out of home before, let alone living in a new city on my own.
But I guess the strength of that is always, I imagine mum and dad say, if it doesn't work out, we're here and you can come back.
Absolutely. And maybe, it was a naivety thing. Maybe I wasn't vocal enough either about where I wanted to be, but it just didn't work. I couldn't hack it. I'm not someone that's introverted. I'm not someone that doesn't enjoy life as a whole, I would just come home and like cry every day. And I couldn't, like, there would be times where I couldn't get a sentence out without crying. And I was like, there's something like really not good here. So I pulled the plug on my dream within 4 months and packed my bags and moved home and thought, well, what's my next step? I just needed something that was, the skills were transferable. I needed something that was stable. I needed a nurturing environment. I did a couple of PR subjects at uni and didn't enjoy studying it, but just fell into a role that felt right because my bosses that I worked for were still two of the best people I've ever worked for and with in my whole life. And that's how my PR career sort of started.
Sounds like a very transformational period of time.
It was, yeah.
Is this the role that is Fireworks?
That is Fireworks, yeah. It was awesome. It was a great 2.5 years. I loved it.
From afar, just looking into your resume, it seems like a very small, tight-knit family business in the PR world.
Yeah, it was a small business. There was only 3 of us, so it was the director of the company and the business director.
How do you find your way being the third person?
Loved it. We were like a little happy family. I loved it. I call them my bosses, but Kath, she was the director, and Kaz was the business director, I should say. And I just adored them. Like we still speak on occasion now. We still catch up on occasion. I can't speak highly enough of my time there. I loved it. Every project we did was so much fun. The environment was so encouraging. It was so warm. It was so nurturing. And I was there in 2020 as well, which was obviously a really hard year for everyone in Australia, like not just in Melbourne was, amplified, but it was so hard. So being in an environment like that where I just felt so appreciated and I felt so wanted and part of the team, it was the best. I can't speak highly enough of them and what I was able to do there. And I really personally was able to stand on my own 2 feet again and regain confidence and just put my own life back on a trajectory that I was happy with and really proud of.
Yeah. How did you find the role initially? Is that just like something you applied for, or you had a connection into it?
No, I think I applied on Pedestrian. Yeah. Pedestrian's still a thing.
I have not heard of Pedestrian.
Pedestrian jobs. They have like a job board. You know the news outlet Pedestrian?
That's probably just my naivety to that part of.
No, so it's like a youth skewed, I would say, news outlet, and they have a job board, and I think that's where I applied for the role. I just sort of started from.
That basically sounds like you're taken in there as like one of their kids because it's just those two and then you.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Did you find, like, I know my experience from like a small business, it's the best thing for your growth early in your career. Did you find the same thing?
Absolutely. And aside from the Daily Telegraph, TGI is the only big organisation I've worked for as well. So the benefit working in such a small organisation is you get to work really closely with the director. And so Kath, she was the PR, like she was the one leading the charge with PR. And then Kaz, she was not just the business director, so she looked after like all the books and stuff like that, but she was also the events side of things. And then I'd come in as a little bit of a hybrid, but also with a digital focus, just being young. I'm definitely not super savvy with like SEO and SEM and paid ads and all that, but I just could learn it because we've grown up, being adaptable.
And there's 3 of you and you got to find a way.
Exactly. So you just learn so much when you're there, and it really did help with my PD. Just being surrounded by people and working so closely with people who had, 2 decades, 3 decades of experience already. And then you get to work in different areas of the business that you may not necessarily be interested in or want to go down. But now, and in my career, as I've kept growing and growing, it's helpful because you know what you need to do in every facet of a campaign, not just in the one area that you're expert in.
Do you have a campaign you're most proud of from your time with Fireworks?
Yeah, so the one that sticks out to mind, just being a footy fan, the Robert Rose Foundation was a non-for-profit organisation founded by the Rose family for the footballer Robert Rose. He played like over 200 games for Collingwood, and he had a car accident at 22 and he became paraplegic and tragically passed away. And his family founded this foundation in his honor to raise awareness, but also funds not just for those who go through the same thing, but also for their families and to be able to support them. So the inaugural Robert Rose Cup was in 2019. Maybe it wasn't the inaugural cup, but it was the first time we had this foundation alignment. It was between Collingwood and the Bulldogs. I think he played for the Bulldogs as well at the MCG on a Friday night, and we did a huge PR campaign with ambassadors in the lead up to the game, and then we had an activation at the MCG. But it was really, we had a big fundraising drive, and as someone who loved sport, always wanted to work in sport, that was my first real taste on the PR side anyway of working in sport and in AFL in particular, and I loved it. It was awesome. We had a great time.
Start of the next step as well. So you move on to Effie and Co. 2 years, camp manager and a senior camp manager. Was this just, again, you've applied for this role, or was there a tap on the shoulder?
Nope, I applied on Seek, and I had an interview, I want to say like a few days after I applied, and then 24 hours later they offered me the job.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
I'd like to think so.
This is fashion and lifestyle?
Fashion and lifestyle as well. And I was there for 2.5 years. Again, can't speak highly enough of the experience I had there. I don't like to leave workplaces on a bad note. You just, with a small company, sometimes you do outgrow them because there's only so far you can go with them. And again, it's if there's people who've been there for a really long time who love it. It was, again, a fantastic environment to work in. But for me, I still had that niggling feeling that I wanted to work in sport. And so after the 2.5 years that I was there, I made the decision to leave, and that's what sort of kickstarted the gap year and then the channel and all that sort of thing. But the clients I worked with there also, like, great clients, great experiences, and really great opportunities there as well. And it's in that role that I met Sam Lane. So our client was a hotel in the sporting precinct in East Melbourne, Richmond. So it's Pullman, the one on Wellington Parade. And we did a lunch called Women's Sport the Future. It was the Friday before International Women's Day, and Daisy Pearce was the MC the first year, and she was meant to be the MC in the second year, and she had to pull out the week before. She had a death in the family, so she had to pull out, and Sam was already meant to speak on the panel, and I said, look, why don't we just see if we can get her to MC the event? She's amazing. I think she'd do an amazing job and all that. And she agreed. So she's living in Sydney, and her and I were communicating directly and with her manager over the 3-day period leading up to the event, because I was the football person at the job. So, and I was the lead on this project. So naturally it fell in my lap, and I was communicating with Sam. I was helping her write her notes. I was helping her with the questions and all that sort of thing. And
must have been surreal. Again, thinking back to childhood and you and what you were saying before.
So we get to the event day, and I meet her, and she's like telling me, oh my God, you've been amazing to work with, and you're fantastic, and I couldn't have done this without you. And then she's standing there giving her final thank yous before the event finishes in a room of 300 people. And she's like, I'd like to thank Marnie from Effie and Co. Without her, I don't think I would have been able to get through this lunch. And I was just like, me? Me? Really? She thinks I'm a good writer. She thinks what I do is good. And that for me was just like, I can't, like, that's still in the top 3 moments for me personally in my career, to have someone I grew up idolizing saying that to my face and to a room of 300 people where there was a lot of important people in that room. Yeah, I just like get goosebumps even like now just talking about it. It was insane.
Yeah. That's fun to look back on.
Yeah, 100. Oh, yeah.
Did you bring that up in an interview at all at TGI? Is that relevant at all?
No, I don't think I've actually shared that story too many times since it happened. So,
well, there you go.
That's probably why I'm so giddy talking about it.
I was going to say, what was your most proud moment working there? But I think that is the moment. So, you obviously now move on to TGI after that little bit of a break. Is this something that you've started to get connections into TGI, or is it, again, still just applying and seeing your role and backing yourself in?
Again, applied. I I made the decision that I wanted to go back to full-time work in October 2025, and I didn't get an interview until middle of December. So it took about 2 months for me to get an interview. I've been very fortunate. I've never really struggled to get work, definitely never struggled to get interviews. And I know that's an exception rather than the rule. I know a lot of people do find it tough, but for 2 months I was applying for so many jobs. I wasn't hearing a peep, and I was just like, what is wrong with me? Like, what? It was at the point where I wasn't even applying for that many sports roles. I was applying at like agencies or in-house for fashion lifestyle as well. I knew that's where my experience lay. I knew that what I was doing with the channel was great, so maybe it would be a fulfillment thing. But now, like on reflection, it was obviously a sign that the only interview that I had was for TGI. The process was so seamless. I applied for the job on LinkedIn, and within a week I had a screening call. I had a screening call on a Tuesday morning, and they set up an interview on the Friday. It was a first round interview over Zoom. On the Friday, I wasn't working obviously on Friday, so it was really easy for me. And then on the Monday morning, I got a call from the HR manager. She basically said, we're expediting the process. We're not having a second round interview with you. Can you email me your references? And here's a task I want you to complete. Let me know when you can do it. So I did the task. I sent it back on the Wednesday morning, gave my references. They were all called, and they all called me on the Tuesday. And by the Wednesday afternoon, they offered me the job.
Amazing. Very quick.
Wild, really quick turnaround. But I think in all jobs that I've had, I've never had a moment of doubt in my mind through the entire interview process. And I don't think they have either. They've all been pretty quick and pretty seamless. And that's sort of how I've known that the alignment's been right, because I've been taken for a ride in other roles and other interview processes, and you just don't end up getting anywhere. So I guess you could take something from that.
How did you find selling the transferable skills of what you'd done in the fashion lifestyle space into sport? Some people say, how can I even find a way to move into sport?
Honestly, I think Kanga TV is the reason why I got the interview. And I can say that with confidence because we've hired for roles since in our department interstate. And I've had a look at some of the resumes that have come through, and some people have been disregarded because they don't have sports experience on their resume. Whereas on my resume, I didn't put the accounting company in there because no one at TGI cares that I've been a receptionist in an accounting company, except for maybe like the accountants, right?
Yeah,
but I'm not looking to be an accountant. Respect what they do, but I could never do their job. So the first thing on my resume was Kanga TV, and every tiny little thing I have done for Kanga TV, and I inflated what I did. Like I've done things on there that maybe I've done once, or maybe like I'm not running some whiz bang operation. But I just wanted to make it out as if it was like a full-blown professional organization. And I think that was 100% a key reason as to why I even got the interview in the first place.
It's a massive point of difference.
100%. Who's stupid enough to make a North Melbourne YouTube channel and brag about it on their resume? Me. But it got me somewhere, so maybe it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, well, I think some people would argue that if they're doing some side projects, they feel like it shouldn't live on a resume.
It has to, especially if you're doing it with the purpose and the end goal of getting into the industry professionally. And you just don't know. Like I said before, like a few of my friends are full-time content creators, and not just, guys who, like I know Cheats has been on before, or Jara, like these guys make content for a living. But I'm talking about me as a fan channel. There are people who run fan channels who do it full-time. So it is possible. And it can be a full-time profession. So I'm going to showcase it. And I'm proud of what I do. And I'm proud of what I've been able to build and what I've learned by doing it. So, yeah, stupid enough to put it there, but proud at the same time.
What does the role look like week to week for those listening? Now, being at TGI, I don't think I mentioned the title, but yeah, Senior Account Manager for Communications, part of the wildcard team.
Every day is different. That's the cliche answer, but it's true. So being an agency, I'm working across multiple different projects, multiple different clients, multiple different sports as well. Obviously, AFL is where my expertise and passion lies. So it's been nice to start on projects in AFL, but then move into other sports as well. a lot of client liaison, a lot of strategy, a lot of media release writing, a lot of pitching to journalists, producers for opportunities that are coming up, scouting good talent for opportunities, and then other bits. Like I dabble in some stuff that the partnerships team do. So that's the really good thing about working at a small organization. I'm not an expert in events, but I have experience. So if I need to jump in, I can jump in. I don't have experience in like activations, but if I need to jump in, I'll jump in. So a lot of that stuff is like even like putting together run sheets and briefs and things like that I normally wouldn't need to do, but I can just do it if I have the time. I'm more than happy to help. So yeah, very busy. There's 100 million things going on at once, but I find that's when I'm at my most productive and at my peak working, is if I'm not bored, I don't have time to, procrastinate. I just like want to put my headphones in and like get the job done. So yeah, it's been a wild 3.5 months, but like unbelievable and so many amazing opportunities already.
I wanted to speak about Tia Schwager, who's now in the wildcard team.
Yes.
Now, I know, I'll get to this in a sec, but you were part of the global premiere for The Final Siren inside the AFL Amazon Prime documentary. Yeah. Ruben was there with Tia, another member who's had a great success story, Mason, who's now at the Bombers. And now I then interviewed Tia on this podcast. She got a job now in the same department as you.
Yeah.
And now working very closely.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak about The Final Siren and your involvement there?
Yeah. And
also, I suppose, how you've come to get along with Tia now as someone who's a great friend of the show and now working alongside you?
Well, it's really funny because I knew who Ruben was. I obviously knew of Sports Grad, but I hadn't met Ruben until I walked in here 45 minutes ago.
He said he got the tickets from you, I think.
Yeah, so because...
But he didn't know who you were.
No, rude. No, I'm kidding. Because I have been so immersed in the AFL content space for about 18 months now, I was given the task of following up all the media and all the content creators who were on that list of invites, but also if there was anyone else I thought might be interested in coming, they just said, oh, invite whoever. And I was like, leave it with me. I'll just get my contact book out. So obviously I knew who Ruben was. I knew of Sports Grad. I thought like it'd be great if he wanted to come. Maybe like, yeah, why not? So I invited him and he emailed me back and he said, can I bring a few extras? Like I've got some members who like might like to come along. I was like, yeah, like bring whoever. He came. I saw him there. I was too busy. Not like in a rude way. I was working, so I didn't get to like introduce myself or anything. But I knew he was there because I'd seen some photos and thought it was great, whatever. And then Tia started a couple of weeks ago and I was doing an intro with her just on PR and my role and what I do at TGI. And she said, oh yeah, I was at the Final Siren event. And I was like, oh, with Ruben? I got him the tickets to that. So a very like nice full circle moment. That was the first project I worked on at TGI. So
massive project for you.
Massive project. I'm a football like nerd. Sadly, no North players involved, which that's okay. But for not like just a phenomenal experience. Being able to really help build the guest list up and follow them up, and that's where my personal network has come. Not in handy because I'm not using these people. I know all these amazing people. I'd love them to come. So I'm just going to like start calling them, and the amount of Instagram DMs I slid into being like, why haven't you responded to my, why haven't you RSVP'd yet? They all came or have ghosted me since. No, I'm kidding. So that was amazing. And to have over 350 people at the MCG to watch the preview of this. We had 3 of the players in attendance, Max Gawn, Marcus Bontempelli, Nat Fife. One of my roles for the actual event is that I was Nat Fife's chaperone for the duration of his stay in Melbourne. This is someone, again, who I've like loved watching.
I was going to say, I think when I was doing my research, I saw on the Raw old profile for you, it was like Kanga's fan and Nat Fife lover or something like that.
Like crazy. I wrote that in 2019 and now in 2026, I'm sitting with him in the lobby of his hotel going through questions and key messages for a Sunrise live cross the next day, and I'm asking him to do XYZ interview on the red carpet, and I'm getting to know him, and like he and I had an awesome chat the night before the premiere just about like footy and about life. And again, it's like this is my life. Like, what is going on? So that was amazing. And then working with Tia, just back to that. I mean, she's great. She's been in the team for a few weeks now. She's just got stuck straight into it. Like, you wouldn't even know that she's only been with us for a few weeks. She's a jet, and I'm sure you and all the other members and people who have watched her episode as well know she's a gun. So love Tia.
Very happy for her. Another couple projects I wanted to speak to, which again from a sporting sense I think people will love. Launch of Solo Line around Gathering. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that one?
So that was the first project I managed end to end on my own, and the PR piece was briefed to us like a month before we did it, and then a sampling activation was added 2 weeks before. And there was just no time for me. I was so busy, and it's it's so annoying. Everyone's busy, but I was so busy juggling quite a few projects at the same time. I actually just didn't have the capacity to brief someone from the P&E team, partnerships and experiences team, who look after activations, to actually help. We have a team in Adelaide, and we have an amazing member of the team in the PR team over there, James. And I said, you help me from the Adelaide perspective and from the PR point of view. And I just actually need to get this whole sampling thing organized. And that's where the experience, and not so much expertise, but the previous experience being in smaller organizations. I've done small activations, like small scale activations before, as part of my roles previously. So now I just knew exactly what I had to do and could organize the whole thing. We had We Got the Chocolates, they're podcasters. They came to Melbourne and they did this crazy 4-day journey from Melbourne to Adelaide. There was running involved, there was cycling involved, there was kayaking, there was rollerblading, like just wild things. And they crossed the finish line outside Adelaide Oval on the footbridge on the Thursday morning before Gather Round. So
I saw all the photos on LinkedIn. It was like a massive solo archway as well.
Yeah, sick. It was like this bright green thing. And then stayed on to the Friday because we managed to get on the live broadcast for sunrise from Elder Park, which again, like that is just like
Added bonus to the client.
Totally. It's so hard to get breakfast TV. It's Today and Sunrise are considered like the showpiece for traditional media in Australia anyway, and clients, whether it's got more or less reach than some online publications say, or readership than like the Herald Sun or the Adelaide Advertiser, even seeing yourselves and your project up on breakfast TV nationally is still considered like number one. So to be able to do that for them and for this was, again, like unreal. I was so happy that I could do that for them. Everything went in our favour except for the weather. Pouring with rain, thunderstorms. We still had a good time.
You find a way.
We still had a happy client at the end, so that's all that matters. Yeah.
Love it. And the other one, project-wise, is the Carlton Draught launch,
yes,
which was recent as well. You got names like Gary Ablett Jr., Gary Rowan, Josh Gibson, Dyson Heppel, Josh Kennedy, and Lewis Jetta.
Yes. So amazing. So the campaign launched at the end of March, and we had draft night. Well, the day we're recording last week at the Palace Hotel in Camberwell. So we had all 6 guys there. We had over 150 people in the room. Daisy Thomas and Dill Buckley, they hosted the night, and our 6 winning clubs got to draft their player for the upcoming games for the season. It was such a fun night. We had such a good time, and the energy in the room, the guys were amazing. Everyone had a great time. And that's also been a great project to work on because I've done a lot of PR over the last month with all 6 talent. We've been to Triple M a handful of times. We did a package with Dyson Heppel and Channel 9 News the day that the player lineup was announced. And we were meeting at 10, and at 5 to 10, I still didn't know if I had permission to film at Gosh's paddock. I was just going to wing it. And literally 2 minutes before the journalist and Dyson rocked up, I got a call, and they're like, yeah, that's fine. Like, you can go ahead and do it. And I was like, well, I was doing it anyway. So, sometimes you just kind of got to do what you got to do. So yeah, it was awesome again. And they're all great guys to work with, really great talent to work with. And again, it's like I say the same thing about every project, but it has been amazing. Like I'm genuinely living my dream every single day. I'm very, very fortunate to be in the position that I'm in.
And that one runs throughout a large chunk of the year, the draft. So
It
is that
does,
ongoing management of that project?
Yeah.
So we have a game. The first game is in New South Wales at the end of May, and then the next game is late June in Victoria, and the final game is late July in WA. So yeah, it's been an awesome one. Yeah, definitely keep your eye out. It's been a great one to work on.
I know you've kind of spoken about it, but just like an overarching benefits you've found so far in working at agency level in sport as well.
Yeah, I think it's the diversity piece. There's never a dull moment. You are always working on different things, and sometimes certain projects require more attention. Like when I was working on the final siren, I was doing that basically full time for the first month that I was at TGI. They just needed that from me, and I was more than happy to oblige, trust me. But it's the diversity piece. It is the broadening of your networks as well. So the amount of different people I've been meeting and different people I've been working with across different sports, different projects, different clients. It's been, pretty cool. And you can still call on them for different things. I think as well, working at agency, I think really helps build your relationships as well. If I've had success with one producer or one outlet for one client, I will more than likely just keep going back to the same people to pitch all these really cool sports people for an opportunities and interviews and things like that. So that's also been a really good thing because it's beneficial not just for all the clients, but also for yourself and for the outlet. Like if I'm coming to you every 2 to 3 weeks with a really top end talent to interview for one project or another, it's pretty good for media as well because they're so understaffed these days. So that's definitely been like the few benefits I can already sort of speak to being at TGI and just being at agency level in general.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, you're a great asset to the team, so keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And so when I would talk to more reflective aspects of your career and problems that often are faced from a lot of our members too. So in terms of challenges in the industry, what do you think some of the challenges are you had to face breaking into sport?
I think it's no secret, it's a really competitive industry. Everyone wants to work everyone who is really passionate about sport wants to work in sport. So that's probably the biggest one. And I think it's really hard, like how do you know where to start? Because a lot of these roles are super competitive. So they're naturally going to favor someone who already has experience. Where do you get that experience from? And that's obviously the challenge I faced. Even though I had all this experience for so many years, I've wanted to get into sport for a really, really long time. But what got me probably the interview was the fact that I'd started a YouTube channel off my own back, right? But for the previous 7.5 years that I was in communications before that, I wanted to get in, and I just assumed that the work I had done that was mildly successful aside from my 9-to-5 job would be enough. And it's actually it wasn't. I actually really had to dedicate myself and my time to building up something that I could showcase what I was capable of. So I think that's probably the one challenge. And I think the second challenge for people who actually get their foot in the door and actually get the opportunity is I don't think people realize how much work and how much time it actually does take. Like working, communications in general, but working in sport, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle. It's always on. It's 24/7. You're surrounded by it, especially if you also are passionate about it outside of, your 9-to-5 or your professional job, right? Like outside of the TGI office, I go watch North play on the weekends, either at the game or at home, and I'm talking about it on a YouTube channel. And my life is probably a little bit of an exception to what other people might face. But I just think that they all want to, a lot of people want to be in the industry, but they aren't willing to put in the work. And that maybe sounds a little bit brutal, but that is the reality. Is a lot of people just expect to be able to waltz in there. And yeah, there's days where I finish early, and there's days where I get to do cool, fun things. Like the draft was awesome. Had the best time ever. I started work at 8 o'clock that day. I got to the pub at 12 o'clock, and I didn't get home till 11 that night. Do you know what I mean? Like just little things like that. Like people, I don't know if they're so willing to put in the work and yeah, exactly. So I think people definitely, and I was probably a victim of that when I was at the Daily Telegraph. So I've got like years of experience and learning under me now to reflect on that and think, well, I probably wasn't willing to put in the work that was required then and there to climb the ladder and maybe find myself in a position of being an AFL journalist, be it in Sydney or be it here or whatever. It's worked out well for me in the end, and everything happens for a reason, and where I'm at now is great, but that's probably something that I should have known and a lesson that maybe I needed to learn back then to make that specific experience a success rather than, throwing in the towel after 4 months.
Yeah, of course. I think nowadays it's not uncommon in society for people to be like, where can I find a way to fast track doing anything, not just a career.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes I think in this space specifically, like I've done it as well, you got to just put in the hours and the volunteering and the extra time that maybe doesn't get recognised, but down the track it will.
Yeah.
And it all comes off. So
100%.
It's all worth in the end. In terms of influences and mentors on your career, I know you kind of mentioned the two that were involved really early in firework, but do you have a couple that you can really pinpoint and like the key advice that have given you along the way?
Yeah, the one that probably sticks out to mind that I haven't spoken about yet is my uni mentor. So Ross Monaghan, I'll give him the biggest plug ever. He was my lecturer in my introduction to PR in my first semester at Deakin. I didn't even want to study PR. I hated studying PR when I was at uni, but it was a core subject as part of the degree that I did, so I had to do it. But he was also very involved with the internships and the work experience pillar of Deakin. And now uni is really different. I think internships are compulsory and they're part of the framework at uni. But when I was at uni, and again, this makes me sound so old, back in my day. Not old at all. But back when I was at uni, internships were only things that you did voluntarily. So I was really willing and wanting to take up these opportunities, and that's how I became a lot more connected with Ross in my last 2 years of uni. And he has been a mentor for me for, it'd be 10 years I've known him now, and we still have a great relationship. We still catch up on the occasion. I've asked him for advice before about jobs that haven't been right, and he just said to me, like, it's like what you thought you wanted to do at one point doesn't necessarily have to be something you want to do for the rest of your life. Circumstances chop and change all the time. Do you know, I thought, and you know what, I could be sitting here in 12 months' time and be wanting to do something else. And here I am at this point thinking that I'm in my dream job right now. But I've had this moment multiple times in my career previously up until this point, and I've thought that I've landed a dream job, and it hasn't been for, multiple different reasons. And he's always just made me feel okay about that being that. And things change in life. Like we think about just our day-to-day life, the littlest things in life. I could go to the supermarket one day and think, yeah, I'm going to meal prep chicken for the week. And then I actually walk out and I've got beef and like, okay, cool. It doesn't always have to go to plan. Yeah. We just pivot. We just find a way to just keep moving on. So that's something that he's really drilled into me. And I think that's been a real, something that's really stuck with me over the last 10 years, really, since we met. And that's helped me just continue to evolve and be okay with things changing and circumstances changing, because you always end up where you got to be anyway.
I love that advice. That's really good. And I don't think there'd be many people that have left uni and have a really strong connection with their lecturer 10 years on.
Yeah,
Yeah. Is he still at Deakin now?
He's still at Deakin. He never even, he wasn't a tutor of mine or anything.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, he's a lecturer for, I don't know, hundreds of people that are taking that unit.
Yep, he's still there. He's unbelievable. He's had a real impact on my personal and professional life for sure.
Shout out to Ross.
Go Ross, the GOAT.
This is a bit of a fun one, but if you had to go back in time and someone said I'll give you $1 million if you can land a job working in PR and comms for sport, and you've got 30 days, how do you approach it?
Well, I think you just say yes, right? You're like, yeah, like, I'm not going to swear again, but yeah, let's go. Because opportunities in sport, especially down the line of PR and comms, if that's what you want to do, don't come up all that often, let alone when you're getting paid $1 million for it, right? And that is just, I think, if there's one thing to take away, it's just you've got to just take every opportunity that life throws your way professionally and personally. So yeah, if someone was going to say to me, hey, I've got 30 days, you can work for free, but it's doing XYZ in sport, PR and comms, like, yeah, I would do it. I did years and years of unpaid work just because I loved it and I was trying to find a way in. So yeah, if you want to give me $1 million on top of it, I'm not going to say no.
If only that was a real life scenario.
I know.
You've already mentioned a few pinch me moments here, but what would be your biggest one? Working in sport, I know the same lane isn't theoretically working in sport, but I would almost still tie it to sport. But what would you say is the biggest?
Probably the biggest pinch me moment of any experience I've had was last year. North Melbourne celebrated 100 years of the football club. And as part of that, I wanted to interview Sonia Hood, who's our president, for the channel. Sonia is one of the first North Melbourne people to ever read my blog in 2011. Wow. And that's how I know her, and we've formed this relationship. We've met so many times over the journey. She's an amazing North Melbourne person. She's just an amazing person as is. And so I messaged her and I said, I'd love you to come on the channel to do this piece with me ahead of the 100-year celebration. And she said, yep, let's do it. Email the media manager at the time. Let's tee it up. By the time I spoke to the media manager about it, Sonia had already spoken to her about it and said, make it work. And I said, I can do whenever suits Sonia, but Friday's great because I'm not working, whatever. They're like, yep, no worries. Come to the club, come into one of the boardrooms at the football club and film this, this piece. It's the series on the channel is called Shinboner Stories, and that's when I talk about North Melbourne people and their experiences and as a supporter, but also as part of the football club. So to be sitting there at the club doing that, because she's invited me and to facilitate it and to do it was pretty unbelievable, especially because she was one of the first people to ever read my first blog at 17. So that is probably the biggest moment of any moment of my career ever anywhere. And I think the reason why is because that's not about what I do, what my job is, and the experiences and opportunities I've got through any of those avenues. It's because of who I am and the relationship her and I built up over the last 15 years that she would actually turn around and say, absolutely, I want to do it. It's got nothing to do with anything aside from me, my character, and the way that I've carried myself and built that relationship over the past 15 years to get that opportunity was, definitely top of the mountain.
I imagine there was a lot of flashbacks during that conversation to you and that blog and probably those first comments from her.
Yeah, well, I told her
reflections.
I told her, I was like, it's crazy to think, like, we've gone from A to B.
What was she doing back then?
She was the CEO of the Huddle, so the Huddle's our non-for-profit arm. I think that was the role she was in. She's been in various different roles at the club, both officially and as an employee, and then also these voluntary official roles. But I think at the time, back in 2011, I think she was, CEO of the Huddle, if I'm not mistaken. And that's sort of where it all kick-started.
Cool.
Yeah.
I guess we kind of know this answer, but what do you think life would look like if you hadn't pursued a career in sport?
I mean, I have other interests outside of, it's so funny when I meet people, I'm like, I don't just talk about North Melbourne. I actually don't really talk about North in my private life at all.
It's very nice to have a break from it.
Yeah, I mean, my dad and my brother and I, that's the glue that holds us together. That's been our thing. We've been going together the footy for 20 years. And obviously at games, I see people, we talk about North and you get messages all the time about North, but none of my closest friends follow North. And not a lot of them are really into footy the way I am. So I do have other interests and hobbies and a personality outside of the North Melbourne Football Club, much to a lot of what people want to think about me. I was happy and I was content in lifestyle and fashion PR, and that's probably what I would still be doing now if I wasn't in sport. But there's a big difference between being happy and content in a job and being genuinely fulfilled in it. So I don't know if I would ever be able to fill that hole if I wasn't in the position that I'm in today. So my life would be great. Life is awesome, but I don't know if it would be at that next level without it.
Very good. Very good. And the last one is a question from our last guest. And that is, what would your strategy be to help to get people either attending or watching broadcast of the golf here in Australia, like the upcoming 2026 Australian Open?
Well, I think you look at the tactic of the Australian Open, and it's even flowed on to the F1 over the last few years, and even spring racing has made a huge comeback. Everyone's going digital, everyone's going influencer, and that's probably the way you would have to go. You'd have like golf chic is definitely a fashion trend as well. So you, in my opinion, you would have a really well thought out, comprehensive influencer strategy. You'd have, and this would have to come not just from the people who are in charge of the comm strategy, but it's got to come from the strategy for the tournament as a whole. If you're looking at a tournament in isolation, you need to get sexy brands on board. You've got to get like cool food outlets. You've got to get like these cool bars and like the beanbag areas like you've got at the AO, and you can maybe not Mecca because they're aligned with the AO, but like get Sephora involved or get like these big like wellness brands. You've got to make it sexy. You've got to make it attractive, and you've got to have a deliberate strategy that's going to speak to giving everyone a life or an experience that is aspirational. And I think that's something that spring racing in particular do it really, really well. I think the Australian Open's a pretty attractive event, and it's a great event in Melbourne. The F1's obviously become so popular over the last like 5-6 years because of Drive to Survive, and you know it's always been a bit of a luxe experience, but spring racing does have a really negative connotation to it. There's a lot of people who are against the actual fundamental horse racing element of the spring racing carnival, right? So they've somewhat been able to balance that backlash out with the activations and what actually is available at Flemington. I went to the races for the first time last year at Flemington, loved it, had the best time ever. I don't think I watched one race, just like loved it. I was like, oh,
but that's what you can do.
100%. So that's what you could turn golf into for the casual golf viewer. Yeah, that's probably what I would say. And then the other way is like through these documentaries or through these deeper looks at some of the personalities in golf and what makes them so unique, and kind of getting that behind the scenes look at them and their lives. Like that's obviously what's drawn in like the F1 market. So maybe that would work with golf as well.
I like where the strategy's going.
Thank you. If anyone in golf is watching or listening, give me a call. All good.
Absolutely. And for you, what's one question you'd like to leave our upcoming guest?
What is, at the time, felt like the biggest mistake in your career that either turned into the best reroute or diversion, or that turned into the biggest lesson for you down the track?
I've heard that before in like interviews. Not the exact question, but like something similar.
Yeah.
And I'm sure whoever that next guest will have a good story. No, I've had something similar in my life.
What would yours be?
Can I flip this now?
Yeah. No. When I was at West United, I was working with a colleague of mine, and she was a PR media manager, and it was my first couple of months, and I basically tried briefing this thing for one of our partners about, hey, we need to get this done ASAP, and I was probably 2 months in the job. And the tone of the email was just taken the wrong way, and thought that I was being like overly aggressive and trying to almost undermine the job. And yeah, she rang me. We spoke on the phone for about 20 minutes, like just explaining how didn't appreciate the tone of the email.
Yeah.
And it really taught me that there's a way to communicate with everyone differently, and the way you might speak to someone is different to the other. Some people like to get a text, some people like a phone call, some people like an email.
Yeah.
And you just need to be more careful with how you frame that. And that was very pivotal in my career, and just helped me understand probably my emotional intelligence improved a lot from that conversation, and then it's just understanding people's scenarios. So not everything's about you, and just because you think something important, you don't know what's going on in someone else's life from a professional or a personal sense. And so it's probably just having a bit more empathy for what's going on. And if you've, in a work sense, briefed something late or done something late, don't expect someone just to fix your problems, because hopefully they can, but that might be a bit on you as well. So
Totally.
yeah, it was a good learning experience.
Owning your own mistakes is almost, and like the way you fix them is almost better and more important than just doing things right from the get-go.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So hats off to you, because I've never had that from you. So
That's all from us, Marnie. I really appreciate the time coming in. I hope you felt comfortable behind the mic and you being the one interviewed.
I did. It was great. Thanks for having me.
And look forward to seeing what other projects and work you can get up to with TGI, and following Kanga TV from afar, and I'm a Collingwood supporter.
It's all right. We'll change that.
I'm sure we might have a few extra listeners today that have not heard of Sportsgrad, but just seen you in Kanga TV. So hopefully you enjoyed the listen, and thanks again.